Good evening, everyone. It's Serotonin. I'm back with the coming shift to cosmic fascism, part 3. Now, where's part 2, you may be wondering? Well, I actually did the video for part 2, and I decided not to post the video in the end, because I would say about 3/4 of that particular article was about the JFK assassination, seriously in depth, whatever version they want us to know. And then the last quarter was pretty much kind of laying the groundwork for part 1, or sort of recapping part 1 and then laying the groundwork for part 3. So it was kind of, it was like a 45-minute video that I did, and I felt like it was really dry. I have become highly aware through reading these articles that there's a lot of disinformation in here, but I think the gist of what they're saying still stands, and so I'm going to follow through and I'm going to go through this article with you. I'm also going to post a link to part 2, because there is some interesting information, and basically what they're saying is we've gone from fascism, which was prior to World War II, to super fascism. Sorry, it was, up to, from World War II on, I think, then to super fascism, which began with the assassination of JFK. And now we are moving on to cosmic fascism while we watch the old guard basically be destroyed. And I'm going to start off with a disclaimer. This is completely just me reading an article that I find interesting from the internet. I have no particularly views about anything on this. I just felt that it was interesting. I thought there was some information in here that people might find interesting, and so I'm sharing it with you. The second part I want to disclaim is that there is plenty of disinformation in these articles. So please, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not, I'm not saying any of this is canon, nothing like that. I just find it compelling, and I think there's a grain of truth in this. And this is why I'm having a bit of a hard time with the Q movement at the moment. I think there's plenty to be extremely proud of with the Q movement. I think it's gotten a lot of people, myself very much included, off my duff and doing some research and teaching myself and learning on my own. However, the thing that's starting to get under my skin a little bit is this whole "if you're not with us, you're against us" thing, and it's a lot of us versus them, and that is something that I have some trouble with. I don't really like this whole like if you don't agree with us, then you're a bad person, and that's kind of what's starting to really come up a lot in the Q movement. Like, if you're not completely on board, then you're a complete fraud, and I don't like that. I have a really hard time with that. So this is what got me thinking about this particular article, and basically the gist of it, from what I understood, is we're going from a harder line to a velvet glove over an iron fist, and that this is essentially at one point they're going to, as our sort of rules around the world loosen, and we sort of talk about the putting to sleep the globalist agenda, it's going to be right back on track because they're going to falsify an alien invasion. And you have to admit that when you take into consideration shows like Ancient Aliens and Richard Dolan and Gaia TV and David Wilcock and Corey Goode and all these people, and Jordan Sather's another one, and Contact in the Desert and James Gilliland and all that stuff. When you take all that into account, they really are pushing for us to be looking up at the skies and wondering about who our brethren is, or who our enemies are, or whatever. And as it was so famously said by Ronald Reagan, that our greatest opportunity to be united as a group is at the response to an alien invasion. It would actually bring us together. So all of that together, it's got me thinking. So I started off by wanting to present this, and I'm going to continue. Like I said, there's lots of stuff in here that I don't agree with. I don't even want to talk about what's going on in this section of the page. There's lots of bizarre headlines and stuff. And I will note too that they publish a lot of work by David Robert Steele here. So I'm not a huge fan of Robert David Steele, not David Robert. I'm not a fan of his at all. So I'm going to do another small disclaimer. They're going to talk a lot about secret space program and space um, uh, happenings in space and space wars and stuff like that. And I don't necessarily think that they're doubling down on this and agreeing that this is truth. I think this is a part of what is going to be presented to us. Now, I myself, I have no idea where we live and what we're living on. I don't know if there's space. I've had a lot of people sort of jump on the last article and be like, well, that's just ridiculous because we all know that we're living under a dome and it's a flat earth and this, that, and the other. I'm not really sure what the shape of our planet is. All I know is that we have no idea. At the moment, it's not my concern as to what shape the planet is. Um, for all I know, we're living in a petri dish under Lisa Simpson's bed. I just called her Linda. It's obviously very tired, and it's also 2019, and I haven't watched The Simpsons in years. But anyway, I'm gonna shut up because I'm kind of rambling now, and I'm just gonna get to it. So, Preston James, thank you very much. Um, a new type of world fascism is now in the wind and likely coming soon. America became a fascist nation during World War II as the American state merged with the large defense contractors and corporations. Like I said, this is all disinfo. I'm sure America was fascist way before that. A new, more advanced form of fascism, best called superfascism, was abruptly shoved into place by the BT RKM COL authorized assassination of JFK by the CIA's OP-40, which was run out of Room 40 in Langley, VA. I don't know what VA is. Despite the apparent hegemony of the BT RKM COL, so I don't know what the BT is, but RKM I believe is the Royal Knights of Malta, and COL is definitely the City of London, as was written in the original article. Despite the apparent hegemony of the BT RKM COL run superfascism that has gripped America and much of the Western world, it is likely that an even newer, higher order, and more sophisticated type of fascism, cosmic fascism, will replace superfascism as soon as the actual reality of alien ETs and crashed recovered UFOs is confirmed publicly by the government. So take that as, you know, the project of alien ETs and UFOs is going to be confirmed. So their injected version. Okay. The transformation to cosmic fascism from the current superfascism will then occur because disclosure will cause the secret space war program to merge with the secret shadow government. This merger will result from the government's public disclosure that alien ETs and their recovered crashed UFOs are real, and that there have been secret defense contractor programs to back engineer crashed and recovered alien ET manufactured UFOs. Look no further than that guy from, what is his name again? From like that punk band from the 90s or whatever they called punk then. Anyway, he's doing a bunch of stuff with Podesta, of all people, and the secret space program and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's already happening. They say this is a leaked KGB movie showing real alien ETs, which many believe is authentic. So they're not either saying yes or no about that, but they're presenting that as evidence. When cosmic fascism is installed, it will likely mean a sudden, unexpected end of the power and hegemony of the current ruling cabal, which secretly runs America through the private central banking system. This ruling cabal will likely be pushed aside from power and viewed as irrelevant, as we are seeing now. And disclosure will likely be accompanied by a sudden end to the current world's hegemony of the private banking system, the Fiat debt-based pernicious usury system. The Federal Reserve is a stateside franchise of this banking system, which features fiat debt notes as legally mandated tender and charges American illegal, unconscionable, pernicious usury for using them. Pernicious usury is considered a taboo and serious crime in numerous Islamic-oriented nations and is also condemned as a sin in the Old Testament and Torah. The banksters will no longer be needed and be pushed aside by the emergence of the new form of government, cosmic fascism. The secret shadow government may decide it's time for disclosure if they sense that a complete worldwide crash of the private fiat world banking system is imminent, characterized by the end of the US petrodollar as the world's reserve currency. Now, for those of you that are waiting for the event through, who was it? Not Drake, but, oh my goodness, I can't think of his name right now. But the guy from Portal. Wow, I am so having one of these days. Portal 2012 blogspot. Look at me. Oh my gosh. Cobra. Jeez. He goes by Cobra. That's all I'm going to say about that. So yeah, Cobra has talked about this a lot too, that the event will be preceded by the fall of the financial system, which will be closely linked with disclosure of alien UFOs and ETs. So there you go. Enter the BRICS Development Bank and the new Chinese AIIB and Silk Road systems. Despite the fact that the controlled major mass media refuses to report on the burgeoning growth of the new BRICS banking and trade system or the new Chinese AIIB and Silk Road systems, major expansion of these systems is now occurring. BRICS has implemented a new state-of-the-art electronic banking direct funds transfer system similar to the RKM Swift direct wire transfer system. Despite many years of complete banking hegemony, there is good reason to believe that the BT RKM COL private central usury based debt note system based on the US petrodollar is in decline and will be displaced as the world's reserve currency. That replacement may turn out to be the new International Monetary Fund, the IMF system, which we've heard a lot about through Thomas Williams. Of a basket of world currencies that are balanced one to another based on standards of real value of commodities rather than on paper debt and derivatives. Don't think for a moment that Robert David Steele isn't in exactly this particular scam. Could the IMF and World Bank be completely replaced? It is also possible that the whole IMF and World Bank system will be completely scrapped for some new system in a basket of adjusted currencies from major nations such as Russia, China, and America. A close examination of the specific recent behaviors of the top dogs and their top stateside cutouts suggests that many are in decline cognitively, perhaps due to age, but perhaps also due to lifestyle of long-term abuse of alcohol, drugs, and self-defeating psychopathy. I don't know how I'm going to say that. And I would also go with adrenochrome and, yeah, basically like that, mad cow disease. It is likely that the ruling cabal be displaced from power by the SSWP as disclosure occurs. Disclosure will create a shift in the public's attention to the cosmos, and if managed properly, this could be utilized by the SSWP as a vehicle to capture the masses' admiration needed to create a whole new system of central government. If the SSP presents itself to appear people-friendly as it takes control over the USG, which is quite likely, and it's important to remember, it's past. For many years, the SSWP has been characterized by threats to UFO witnesses, secret murders, wiped memories, continual lies, deceptions, and merged efforts with organized crime to create black funding. This alone makes it highly probable that the SSWP will use its new powers to create a new, higher-level fascist system of government best described as super fascism. And that is totally a huge part of what's happening right now. That's what all this Contact in the Desert's all about. That's Gaia TV, all of this Corey Good, David Wilcock. This is what they were hired to do. I promise you. Fairness and populism may likely become the new buzzwords and motivators for serious social change and removal of the ruling cabal from top to bottom. And this new regime that emerges from the SSWP to run the whole world will likely install a humanity-oriented financial and economic system, at least at first, that will be based on a populist-oriented, more equitable system of work-labor units, electronic money, and electronic exchange. And this is why I am doing this, is because I don't want people to sit back and enjoy the show. It's really important that we continue doing our work and continue connecting the dots and continue making sure that we have a platform and a voice and that we can be heard amongst the people who are paying attention, because we must remember the past of these places. And this is the plan that they had installed all the way, like from the get-go. This is what they wanted to do at the last moment. And so it's really important that we see this through properly and don't sit on our laurels and just kind of assume that like the plan is going according to plan, because we don't know. Initially, it will be people friendly, but as this group claims that a major world invasion by a large evil alien ET seems imminent, and this is one, I'm sure this is only one scenario. I'm sure they've got many different scenarios. The new globalist NWO government will become increasingly fascistic, violent, tyrannical towards its enemies, and will likely define its new domestic enemies as the various existing religious cults of fanatics and present them as the root cause of all human war and suffering, which we're seeing, of course, right now. You know, it's like Christianity versus Islam and, you know, versus Judaism all mixed into one right now. It's just nuts. We know that for certain that America is now run by a large secret shadow government, the SSG, that despite being originally under the complete control of the BT, RKM, COL, there is reason to believe that it has become so powerful that it is usurping the previous hegemony of that system. The emergence of a strong new secret power in the secret space war program. Even more interesting, it appears that our deep black and beyond black SSWPs have become so powerful in and of themselves that they appear to have taken control of the SSG, although most in the BT, RKM, COL have no idea how far this has gone. What will the American public's concerns be if the secret shadow government discloses the reality of alien ETs and crashed UFOs? The American masses will become concerned about what implications of this alien ET reality means for their daily lives and survival. Of course, the SSWP could communicate to the masses the reality of an ongoing secret space war. It could also claim, whether true or not, that a sinister, evil alien armada is moving towards planet Earth and plans to attack us. They keep talking about that long obelisk-shaped thing. It's like a meteorite or something, and sometimes they're calling it a spacecraft, and sometimes they're like, no, it's not. So I think that's something that they're already messing with us over. Okay, I'm just going to continue on. And you know what? I think I'm going to stop reading these bolded questions because it feels like a big time waster. Obviously, this latter disclosure of an ongoing secret space war could generate panic and motivate folks to support a new kind of government organized around the coordinated defense of planet Earth from this armada of alien ETs. This organized response could be based on a new type of fascism, best described as cosmic fascism. It was the Roswell crash that created a panic in the Pentagon and administration and resulted in a complete secrecy lockdown. This led to the creation of the SSG, which spawned the SSWP as a means to defend against ETs. The WP has always been about defense and has now amassed so much power and advanced technology that it now poses a direct military threat to the original powers. The visible government in DC has only been ceremonial since the emergence of post-WW2 superfascism was shoved into place by the JFK assassination, and it's ill-equipped to defend itself against the SSWP if and when it takes over. Did all these recent political email leaks actually originate from the secret power of the SSWP used as a softening up process before the SSWP uses disclosure to take over? That's why they're dripping it. But now the SSWP is gaining such strength that it is a direct threat to the BT, RKM, COL, despite the fact that a good portion of the 12 Kings has been part of the SSG. An immediate move was made right after Roswell to create special legislation to protect these secrets, namely the National Security Act of 1947, followed by another upgrade in 1952. From this special legislation, which was actually unconstitutional and a total abuse of power, the rapid emergence of the SSG emerged, and it was comprised of a collection of major private defense contractors, special think tanks, and covert banking and black funding mechanisms. The SSG has expanded and become more and more deeply classified due to its dealing with more and more startling alien ET matters. These included recovered and back-engineered ET anti-gravity craft, active ongoing treaties with at least one ET group, involving joint research and development projects, construction of 2 American deep space fleets, 1 USN, USAF, and the entry of these fleets into interstellar deep space wars against one or more evil ET groups supposedly trying to gain space superiority in order to eventually attack and capture planet Earth. There's no way. If we were capturable a long time ago, something's stopping it. Them. Note that some detractors will claim that many of the top folks in the SSG, especially those in the secret space war joint programs with ETs, share membership in high Freemasonry and its surrogate groups, and this will prevent the SSWP from going rogue. I disagree, and I would highly agree with that. It's just a factions war now. It's like Family Feud. I should just like, honestly, I should just do a video of like Family Feud, I swear. Past members of MJ. MJ is Majestic 12. So the MJ has expanded to include members of G7 nations in addition to the core group from the USA. Perhaps this is done to ensure shared interests and loyalties among the SSWP nations for a coordinated defense of planet Earth. This cooperation could also reduce the risk of a nuclear World War III, despite any public jousting allowed for token political and economic reasons. There is currently a great deal of esoteric drift of the SSW programs based on deep space exploits and warfare with ET groups, deemed notably evil. Esoteric drift is a change in mindset to be increasingly concerned with esoteric matter. Esoteric is best defined as confined to and understandable by only an enlightened inner circle that holds secrets away from the public's understanding. The SSWP has gained super high alien ET technology over the years from its close working relationship with some alien ET groups who seem to have mutual interests against what they claim is another group of ETs that's coming to attack planet Earth. This extensive esoteric drift seems to be creating a large chasm of separation of the secret space war part of the secret shadow government and the ruling cabal too. But it could be also due to sophisticated ET mind control that is deployed against SSW program participants. The deep secrets of reality, time, and quantum physics and anti-gravity have empowered the SSWP principles by leaps and bounds beyond the control of the ruling cabal. It is my personal view that all of these groups have likely been deeply mind controlled by a set of sophisticated and quite subtle and unrecognized ET mind control technologies and are unaware of their cognitive drift and altered mindset. I hope I'm wrong in this assumption. Why is the mind control ET based? That's just ridiculous. Certainly those who have probably been most remarkably controlled folks on the planet, besides those radicals who blow themselves up for gladio terror ops, are the top ruling cabal. Sure, these ruling cabal folks, their cutouts and assets are members of a secret worldwide satanic pedophile network, thank you, who have been willing to let their human souls be stripped out and replaced with familiar spirits. Oh my gosh, I have so much to say about spirits. It is my personal belief that these spirits are spirits of the Nephilim, the offspring of the Watchers, the lesser gods of the fallen ones, who were destroyed by the flood, which only Noah and his clan survived. This is a radical claim, but there are some sound reports from insiders that non-corporeal entities have appeared to those who participate in satanic child and human adult sacrifice rituals or knowingly give their souls to Satan in exchange of promises for unlimited riches, power, and status. Some at the periphery who resisted this lifestyle and initiation rituals or who have come out of this have claimed these powers are demons, while some Islamics call them bad jinns. This is, okay, I just want to reiterate that regardless of where the finger pointing is going in this particular article, the content is pretty sound. I think they're messing about with who did what and who they're attributing a lot of these things to, like who invented what and who's doing what and who owns what and who created what. But I agree with the what. I just don't agree with the finger pointing. Super fascism is best described as a situation wherein the large defense contractors, banks, and other associated corporations hijacked control over the USG and DC and used it to service and protect their interests at the expense of the interests of we the people. They used their newly appropriated money power to buy up numerous politicians. The various American intel agencies involved in the SSG gained a great deal of new money and power to protect the secrets about ETs and increasingly invoked national security to manipulate, compromise, and control politicians in general. Various intel agencies served to take care of the interests of the SSG in order to protect the SSWP, but these intel agencies that gained new powers under the National Security Acts of 1947 and 1952 were bifurcated. They had dual interests to protect the ruling cabal and shared MJ interests of the G7 nations, which became allied together in the SSWP under Reagan. In order to keep these secrets, which this is the other thing, we're getting all this Reagan stuff lately. In order to keep like speeches and whatnot and the Q drops, and anyway, it's all fitting in so well for me. I don't know guys. In order to keep these secrets from the Soviets and other potential enemies, it was decided to privatize the Pentagon and the CIA's UFO-related functions into thousands of secret proprietaries, which created plausible deniability for the USG. But the privatization and secrecy classification system implemented to protect UFO secrets also transferred most true power from USG inside DC the Beltway, to those large defense contractors who were given national security clearance protection for their secrets. At first, the top secret classification was provided to the Pentagon and CIA-related private defense contractors. Later, as these programs expanded and began operating under secret treaties with actual ET groups, much deeper, ultra-high technology secrets were discovered that, it was felt, warranted more sophisticated classification and compartmenting, such as black, deep black, and beyond black. There have been credible reports that a major policy board, Majestic 12, was set up to control ET matters, including exchange treaties with ETs, back engineering of recovered craft, and foreign technology transfer, SSW fleets capable of deployment in deep space, to be engaged in serious ultra-high-tech combat with certain evil ET groups that plan to attack Earth and eliminate all humans and animals. It sounds so corrugated. Except, of course, we're talking about the event and all this kind of stuff. So sit back and popcorn, right? MJ-12 originally had 12 members from the U.S. military, intel, and academic science. James Forrestal was Secretary of Defense and refused to stop promoting the idea that the American public must be told the truth. Forrestal was a perfect personal friend, of JFK and had briefed him on the reality of UFO, anti-gravity craft, and extraterrestrial aliens. It was decided by the top several most powerful members of MJ-12 that Forrestal must be silenced. He was imprisoned in Bastille Naval Hospital, and drugs were used to soften his refusal. This failed, and it was ordered that he be thrown out the window to his death, the way Frank Olson was later thrown out of New York City hotel because he had a bad reaction to LSD that had been surreptitiously given. I have a whole theory about the show Lost, and there's so much stuff coming up in that show, and I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Sometimes I think when you look for it, you find it, no matter what it is. Okay. It was felt this kind of secret assassination from the upper floor of the building, superficially disguised as suicide, would terrorize any other folk who were attempting to start disclosing the secrets about ETs, recovered UFOs, and other CIA secrets. It was an early form of disguised murder that morphed into the famous Arkanside, later in Arkansas, and then fully adapted by the Klans and the FBI Counterintelligence Division 5. At the time, some of those MJ-12 called it the Mars-Jupiter Project. The members of the MJ-12 and the U.S. President and the director of the Klans felt that it was the secret of the ETs and their recovered anti-gravity craft, and the projects to back-engineer them, as well as the treaties with certain ET group, must be considered an even more important secret than the atomic bomb, or the Manhattan Project, or the hydrogen bomb development. Since this time, MJ has morphed into a much bigger group, expanded to include representatives from the G7, and Five Eyes Nation. Different names have been used, such as Majestic 12, MJ-12, Magic, Majestic, Majesty, Mars Jupiter, and MJ, depending on who wrote their memos in regard to what. Much of the secrecy was based on the way the documents were written and the assertion of some obvious errors that made them appear amateur and other traceable oddities. This was designed to create confusion for enemies if there was ever recovered a sort of self-discrediting. Of course, the usual different spelling errors and grammatical errors were included for each individual member, copies in the most highly classified memos to also discredit, but, in addition, to provide personal, specific tracing if copied and leaked. The creation of MJ-12 elicited the emergence of the SSG, first and best described by Richard Boylan, Ph.D. As the SSG expanded, it became more and more narrowly compartmented by job and function, and information transfer became completely based solely on the need to know. The SSG, this is how terrible things happen. The SSG became increasingly powerful due to its increasing control over the various intel agencies, which more and more served as their puppets. The SSWP developed inside the SSG became more and more deeply classified and isolated. Using recovered and shared ET technologies, the SSWP proceeded to develop two major secret space war fleets, USN and USAF, both capable of deep space interstellar travel and combat. This is everything that we're told, right? Like I said before, I have no idea where we're living in, what we're living in, what's outside our skies, what's on the other side of the clouds. Really, I have no idea. The SSWP defense contractors developed super secret, special access, unacknowledged programs with no official audits that have become isolated from the mainstream and even from their parent defense contractors. The unacknowledged programs began to shift esoterically into various philosophical or pragmatic positions not commonly held by normal Americans or even by most high USG and Pentagon officials who were somewhat briefed on ET's crashed, recovered, and back-engineering programs. The esoteric drift of the SSC, due to their knowledge and working relationships with certain groups, has been noticed by some observers and researchers. This esoteric drift has been sensed by Richard Dolan, clearly the most respected UFO investigative journalist and author out there. I don't think so. I think he's just approved by the UK government. His book, After Disclosure, is excellent and carries serious credibility. I would not say so. He has been a major guest on all those shows. I don't know. I wouldn't trust him as far as I can carry him, and I can't. Richard Dolan has spoken publicly about the possibility of a breakaway society which may have emerged around these ET matters. If true, this beyond black subculture could be using back-engineered anti-gravity craft to visit or even reside for extended periods on other planets. I don't believe that. The extreme secrecy lockdown on all these alien ET UFO matters prevents us from knowing exactly what is happening in regards to all this. I'm not saying I believe any of this stuff, but I see that this is what they're doing, guys. This is what I'm seeing that they're doing. This is what they're showing us. This is what they want us to buy into. I'm not agreeing with this. I don't think this is actually for realsies. I think this is their new ploy. But I see this everywhere. Several respected, well-vetted, former military intel or defense contractor related individuals who have come forth publicly from Stephen Greer, MD's Disclosure Project, I don't buy him for a minute either, describe personally witnessing ETs and anti-gravity craft. In addition, there's a great American hero, well-respected and completely vetted and courageous William Tompkins, who has disclosed a great deal about a secret treaty between a certain alien ET group, Nazis, SSWP, development of 2 secret space war fleets, 1 U.S. Navy and 1 on the USAF, both capable of deep space travel and combat. I have something to say about William Tompkins right now. He died very suddenly. I think it was like 2 summers ago now. I don't think it was last summer. I think it was the summer before. Can't quite remember. But anyway, just notably that Jordan Sather and his girlfriend at the time, Teresa Llaneros, were the last 2 people to interview him before he died. Okay? And that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, Teresa Llaneros, I'm going to say a bunch more stuff about her. She works for a website called Stillness in the Storm. And you can check out their website. It looks super creepy to me. Stillness in the Storm sounds like some kind of coding about the storm. So it's something to do with something that we're already witnessing. She did an interview, or like I don't know what it was, like a news piece or whatever, where she was talking about George Takei. And she kept pronouncing his last name Tacky over and over and over again. So she doesn't even do her own research. She doesn't even bother to research how to pronounce things. And I think she's an absolute shill. I do not buy anything she's selling. I think she's a joke. She also wrote an article about 5 months after the George Takei debacle. She wrote an article that was printed that was telling people that if they were approached by a stranger who asked them to come with them into a building and into subterranean corridors and like tunnels and stuff, that they were being contacted by like like an undercover group, and that they had clearly like made some kind of soul contract with these people, and that they were required to go with them, that it was like to their benefit to go with them, not maybe required. But she was definitely encouraging people to follow people into subterranean like tunnels, like wherever, like if you're like contacted by people because you have made some kind of contract with them in like some kind of other, I don't know, like in either in another dimension, or I don't know what it was. Anyway, I think she's ridiculous. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about her. And Jordan Sather's another one who is being handled by Robert David Steele. So I have no time for either of them. We also have Ben Rich, former head of Lockheed's Skunk Works, who once made the statement publicly that UCLA, that we now have technology to take ET home, and there are other 2 important near-death confessions, one by high-ranking clown man who insisted on continued anonymity to protect his family, and another Lockheed scientist, Boyd Bushman, who shared photos of ETs that were given to him shortly before his death. According to Bushman, the American SST secret space war programs at the western bases like Papoose Lake also have Russian and Chinese scientists and technicians working there on back engineering anti-gravity craft. He did not like this, perhaps because he had a memory of the Soviet Union under Stalin and of the evils of the Cold War, and could not believe that Russia had actually changed for the good as the new Russian Federation. Yawn. This lends credibility to the rumor that President Reagan negotiated a treaty with the Russians and Chinese at the end of the Cold War to combine international efforts to defend the Earth from what he believed was going to be an effort by the evil ET force to invade and subdue planet Earth and destroy humanity. So he was obviously part of this too. It is this secret treaty that led to this Star Wars program. And there's, like I said earlier, there's a lot of glorification going on in the Q movement about Reagan, so I don't know. I think he's supposed to be the other outsider, but he was an actor. So, I mean, people could argue that Trump is an actor because he was on reality TV. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on or where we're all going anymore. The treaty included a clause that SSW weapons could never be used against the members, and conventional weapons could have been used in conventional wars. Would have to be used in conventional wars, sorry. President Reagan assumed that once the real threat of an approaching ET force was disclosed to top government officials, there would be less motivation for wars, except perhaps synthetically created wars to boost the banksters and defense contractor incomes. His famous speech to the UN, he mentioned the possible of an alien threat to the world by innuendo, wondered if there were already here eliciting wars and threats of war. Interesting. The SSWP appears to have taken control of the whole SSG and has been absorbing so many American financial assets that the middle class is collapsing by the day. The unrecovered recession of 2007-2008 due to the exportation of jobs from America and huge SSWP expenditures may have been the main factors behind the American masses propelling Trump into office to rectify this financial assault on the working men and women in America and the middle class. If one adds up the above-ground costs of the SSG intel and surveillance with defense, it comes to about $985 billion per year. The cost of the fleets of the USN and the USAF, along with 147 deep underground bases, totals about another $1.5 trillion per year. If you add these costs up, you can see that this totals over half of the official U.S. budget of $3.3 trillion and results in basically asset-stripping middle-class Americans of all their hard-earned income, accrued savings, and wealth. We already knew this. The grim reality that approximately 40% of the federal tax payments go to the FRS, interest on the phony unconstitutional so-called national debt, and you can understand why they're being asset stripped to the bare bone. In order to raise all the funds the SSG and SSWP needs, it uses intel agencies, organized crime, partnered drug cartels who engage in illegal trafficking of huge amounts of drugs and people, I'm sure. The U.S. military is in Afghanistan for the opium and for the lithium for batteries. Obviously, the principals who ordered this, have allowed their very souls to be extracted for mammon and are functioning as pure psychopaths with no operational conscience at all. The opium is flown out of Afghanistan in global hawk drones and reaches America in a refined state as high-grade heroin, and this is why we have so much cheap heroin and so many new young heroin addicts in America now. The number of death and young folk from heroin has now reached epidemic proportions, which is certainly part of their globalist agenda. It's a strange situation where both the ruling cabal has become incredibly criminal and the SSWP has also become incredibly criminal, and the ruling cabal does it for their own gain, and the SSP supposedly to protect us from alien ET invasion, but both groups live by the end justifies the mean and to heck with everybody else, while the American middle class shrinks by the day, with drugs, crime, violence, and death and chaos in the big cities increasing daily. The USA is now under extreme economic distress, with about 100 million unemployed and about 40% unable to pay their monthly expenses without borrowing. This cannot go on much longer without causing serious ramifications. That's something that Thomas Williams has talked about recently. This is a serious financial situation that the U.S. and all countries are in. Ambassador Lee Wanta, who is also President Reagan's personal secret agent under the Totten Doctrine, said the best plan to reindustrialize America and immediately provide 2 million good-paying job opportunities. He acquired the massive funds necessary to do this and made a commitment to Reagan to use this money for that reason. His plans include immediate construction of an intercoastal super high-tech, high-speed maglev railroad. Is that an Agenda 2021? Which would transform America into an industrial giant once again within about 2 years. Holy crap. Sadly, Wanta's funds will remain locked up in a trust fund blocked from his access. Hopefully Trump will start to work with Wanta and access these funds, and let Wanta finish his mandate from Reagan. The SSGs engage in hundreds of sophisticated means to raise black funds that are off the books for their various expensive covert operations, including the secret space war, DUMS, and the various U.S. intelligence and spy agencies. These black funds are not viewed or authorized by the Congress, as is required. Various insurance skimming schemes are used. Direct monetary funds are issued by the FRS to proprietaries, often through foreign bank bailiffs. Enron was a large clown-run corporate bust-out used for black funding, and I'm not well versed in black funding operations, but I've been told that thousands of proprietaries exist for that, as well as for covert operations in general. Hundreds of Enron employees lost their pensions when Enron went bust, and the SNL crisis was another asset-stripping black funding operation. There have been so many more. There's a good reason that clown officers always refer to the clown as the clown, the circus as the company. It's because it owns so many proprietaries, phony business fronts, that raises black funds and serves as deniable fronts for spying and covert operations. So I would go with that, the NGO, sorry. And anything to do with banks raising money, like races, what are they called, marathons. Anytime someone asks you to, $2 for this fund or that fund, I always say no, and I give that $2 to a homeless person who is physically outside of the place that I have just denied the charity money to. Sooner or later, a question always arises from those who ponder the ET matter. If ETs have this superior, high advanced, super potent technology, they obviously must have superior weapon capability, so why don't they use all their superior technology and make a sudden spectacular appearance and just take over the planet, all of it? There are a number of individuals from inside the SSB, some well-vetted and validated, that have claimed that ET groups have superior technology and weapon systems such as particle beam weapons and some handheld. Schneider is one of these individuals, and he was murdered, Arkancided, by MIBs for what he disclosed publicly. He claimed that he and others unknowingly descended into ET nest under Dilche as was constructed and got into a live firefight in which some Delta Force soldiers were killed. This was an incursion into the ET's personal quarters, and they responded aggressively. Either that or they were led to believe that these were ETs. I don't know. Who knows? Another man, Charles Hall, claims to have worked around Tall Whites as an above-ground SW American joint base where he was doing weather research. He's claimed that all the Tall Whites were very protective of their children who would act aggressively to protect them in self-defense, but were otherwise not aggressive. He also claimed that some could pass for humans and even take guests to Las Vegas to gamble, an experience that they appreciated. Yeah, aliens love Vegas. If it turns out that Hall, well, you've seen Mars Attacks, right? If it turns out that Hall is accurate in his descriptions, then there are startling implications to his claims that hopefully will be resolved during disclosure. And there's an interview with him and Michael Sala. I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him either. Tompkins is perhaps the best vetted of all, and has claimed in various SW projects he worked on. The secretaries were attractive, female tall white ETs who could easily pass for human females. They talk about that. It's like, who is it? The Palladians apparently look like that. And I just want to stress again that Tompkins was last interviewed by Sather and his ex-girlfriend or girlfriend. I don't know. I haven't listened to him in well over a year, so I don't know who he's dating now. But they were all public about it, which was just so television. The whole thing was just ridiculous. I interpret that all these accounts and available evidence that I've examined, experienced, and considered as suggesting that ETs have entered the atmosphere and landed here actually bound by some kind of cosmic code or cosmic rules of play. Dun dun dun, yeah, we know that. If there is at least one evil ET group that seeks to harm us, as some have claimed, the evidence would suggest that these ETs are somehow being restrained by something, perhaps by cosmic rules of play imposed on them. No, they're ruining our planet. Actually, they just not in the way they want to. If they are evil, they would not limit themselves by choice, but only by necessity. It is hard for me to believe that the SSWP could have gained weapon systems parity with an evil ET group, so something must be keeping them from public landing for all to see on the evening world news. If this turns out to be true and a large number of humans are abducted and kept each year by ETs, yes, this creates a new set of possibilities that the Earth is under a restrained secret attack, yes, by ETs that force that is evil, but still somehow restrained from appearing openly in public. If an evil alien group is unable for some esoteric reason to deploy its high-tech weapons to take over Earth openly, perhaps they would then use high-tech mind control or psychic means to take control of and work through various individuals in the government, military, intel, or defense contractors whom they can manipulate. Dun dun dun, that's what they do. This sounds a lot like traditional explanations of demons and bad jinns, doesn't it? There are a number of well-vetted, credible witnesses of the SSWP who have claimed that several treaties are in place between the USG and ETs the same for other nations, including Russia and China. Here is one of the best vetted witnesses to date, a former high-ranking clown officer. Former clown, once a clown, always a clown. Deeply involved in the secret ET programs from the origin of the problem during Eisenhower's administration. That jerkwad. It is now a classic deathbed interview done by the highly respected Dolan, who carries a great deal of credibility in everything he does associated with his excellent UFO and ET investigative journalism. Yeah, pull the other one. The subject being interviewed gives off all the nonverbal gestures that is suggesting he's telling the truth, and is still concerned about the safety of his family when he gave this interview. I believe that if you are properly brainwashed, everything you say and everything you think you've gone through feels incredibly real. During his high-level career, many people involved in alien ET matters and various clown roles were told that if you leak, you would be quickly terminated, and many who worked in roles like this man were afraid their families could be harmed too, and they were. It is no longer true. Due to the infiltration and hijacking of much of the American military, the Pentagon, and intel by the PMA seers and top dual citizen Israeli-American, Israeli-first operatives. Are you kidding me? Their deployment of 9/11 false flag attack to draw us into illegal, unconstitutional foreign wars of aggression for the Rothschild Khazarian Mafia. Oh, not the Royal Knights of Malta. The Rothschild Khazarian Mafia. Oh dear. Has caused a great deal of anger and disrespect towards our high military command, the Pentagon, and intel as they went along with the crime and the cover-up. These treaties with the alien ET groups have been reported to include provisions for joint research programs with some of the alien ET human hybridization. Sorry, I was yawning. Some for development of the synthetic soul. No success with this so far, and none ever likely. I don't know about that. I think that's outright denial, and that should be dug into. Some for the exchange of ET high technology and weaponry for permission to abduct and tag humans with crystalline implants with access to their biological samples, as long as those abducted have been unharmed and their memories have been wiped. There are numerous reports of attempted abductions ceasing instantly when Christians call on the name of Jesus. And there are also reports of Islamics calling on the name of Allah, and such abduction attempts being immediately discontinued too. How odd. Perhaps the strangest reports of all are the appearance of a small grey known to top Satanist and British intel wizard, Aleister Crowley. Very interesting. That's talked about a lot. While inside a pyramid in Egypt, this has suggested to some researchers that there is a connection between the worldwide satanic pedophile network of the BT, Rothschild Khazarian Mafia, City of London, and certain ET groups. There has also been some reports, and I completely believe that. There have also been some reports that after abduction, some individuals in flashbacks and started remembering small greys working on them under the direction of the tall greys, and with large reptilian appearing creatures directing biological sample draws and scans, and with a tall white or two in the background watching. So they work together, a bunch of them. If these reports are accurate, these observations raise some interesting issues. There are numerous independent reports of similar abduction occurrences across many different nations and cultures, which to me makes the actual occurrence of these reports more likely. Another yawn. Sorry guys, and some abductees claim numerous abductions over many years and have scars and triangular crystalline implants that have been surgically removed that support their accounts. I expect in the not too distant future we'll probably see all the disclosure occurring publicly as the SSWP decides it is time to take over command of the USG and then the world. We now have a situation in America where everything official is a big lie, a false narrative, or USG propaganda. This is all broadcast and published by the 6 controlled major mass media. The constructive illegal monopoly best described as news and media cartel. This illegal media monopoly represents the interests of the BT RKM COL at the expense of the interests of we the people, but it makes it impossible to trust the USG or the CMMMM for any real truth. So this whole, anyway. And the complete national security lockdown on all ET matters by the SSWP prevents us from learning anything about the USG and the CMMM, about the ETs. American people have been denied the truth about Roswell and the ET matters, which we have a right to know. The USG was hijacked by the large BT RKM COL franchised banks and their large associated international corporations, which eventually created the situation of superfascism here in America. Once the superfascism was in place, it made it quite easy to extend this process of secrecy to create a new SSG around the alien ET matter. This led to the development of the deep black and beyond black secret space war fleets, interstellar travel, and combat with ET forces, if the vetted insider reports we have are accurate. As the size, budget, and power of the SSW program has continued, we can expect that it will soon be taking predominance over the BT RKM COL Ruling Cabal, since they are both competing for the same taxpayer-based funds. It's just invisible money at this point. It is my belief that the SSWP will consider it necessary to use disclosure in order to panic the American and world masses as a motivation, allowing the SSWP to assert control over the BT RKM COL Ruling Cabal and establish themselves in complete control politically and militarily. This will likely be the soft coup d'etat favored by the masses, and the BT RKM COL will be quickly shoved to the side, and their power and major sources of assets will likely be stripped away from them, and the new form of government will be installed from this transformation over the now public alien ET secrets, and this is best described as cosmic fascism. Some of the public who are well versed in ET matters are split into different groups. Some believe there are no ETs threatening planet Earth and that they are harmless phenomenon. Others believe that hundreds of reported ET abductions are real and that planet Earth is already under attack. And still others believe there are high-ranking individuals in part of the programs that have become mind-controlled and are serving a secret agenda to the specific ETs that they are involved in joint projects with, and do not truly understand that they are being manipulated psychically and psychologically. I like that art. That's pretty awesome. Sorry. Others believe that even though some parts of the SSWP involve joint projects with alien ETs that are friendlies, these are friendlies in helping us prepare to defend planet Earth from an attempted invasion from large armada of ETs, evil ETs headed our way unless stopped by a major effort involving all large nations of planet Earth working together. If disclosure occurs, this could soon lead us to the unification of the most Americans around this issue, and it is likely the world will follow. And what will emerge will be a new form of American government and then a new form of world government, and it is likely that the ruling cabal will then be pushed aside as irrelevant and unacceptable. The SSWP's efforts to defend planet Earth will take predominance over everything else, and this will constitute a new form of American fascism to be then imposed upon the world. It is best called cosmic fascism. It is probably coming sooner or later. There's a lot of repetition in this article, and I apologize on behalf of the author for that repetition. And at the speed things are changing down here on planet Earth due to newly emergent technologies and the internet, the new Gutenberg press, I believe, that it won't be long and we shall soon have some answers. Odds are disclosure is going to occur sooner than later, and unless things are going to go out of control in DC and we end up in a nuclear World War III of some sort. It's just like such a chirpy, happy little article. I have one conservative Christian friend who believes that aliens are either fallen angels, lesser gods, or demons, and are part of a great final deception to lead humans away from any traditional biblical belief in God Almighty. The SSWP is an attempt by the fallen ones or lesser gods to prepare a defense against the coming takeover of planet Earth and the judgment of evil by Jesus Christ. There are some Christians in the SSWP, admittedly a minority, but some do believe this scenario. Some who have sat on... Okay, I'm just going to read this bolded one here. Some believe that alien ETs are basically good and are part of a star system confederation that does not interfere with other worlds unless necessary to prevent major uncontrolled nuclear war, and that those belonging to the Star Federation want to help humans get on the right track and turn away from fascism and war-based parasitical economies. That would be nice. Some who have sat on the MJ have been briefed that ETs in residence here on joint programs have been shown a device called a looking glass, which could display ancient history, crucifixion, etc. There was no crucifixion, I don't think. They claim that humans were seeded from ET masters and planet Earth is their farm. My Christian friend thinks that the humans are distinct, created in God's image, and is pretty sure that God Almighty is the great I Am. And the first cause creator of everything. Yes. He thinks that a cosmic battle is now... Okay, this is just me agreeing with my own personal beliefs. He thinks that a cosmic battle is now occurring on planet Earth between good and evil, between God and devil. Yes! And this is the only way one can explain the presence of all the blatant evil in the world. That one paragraph is the one thing on this whole thing that I do agree with. Except for the I am bit. My view is that the jury is out on what all ETs actually are. We have reports that some are friendly, some are neutral, some are quite evil, and even eat humans as food occasionally. I am a conservative Christian, and my own personal belief is that at some point there is going to be a final battle between good and evil over planet Earth that will involve a return of Jesus of Nazareth, our Messiah, and his forces, and that he will prevail over evil. I don't think we have a savior coming. I think it's all on us. However, what specifically what that will be and what remains to be seen, but each person must evaluate the available evidence and draw their own conclusions. One thing you expect, the alien ET matter is probably not going to be kept undisclosed too much longer. The most interesting disclosure so far was from Ben Rich, the head of Lockheed Skunk Works. He claimed that UFOs were bimorphic. To me, this seems that some of the ET ships are somehow biologically based, living entities able to shift in size and shape and rapidly combine into a single entity and then quickly split again into separate entities. It has been reported that some of the recovered craft had no electrical wires or visible electronics in them, but only after strange fiber cables and control was claimed to be by thought interface or sometimes touch. This has major esoteric ramifications and may suggest some spiritual or interdimensional element that will need some new psychic physics to explain. There have been some insider reports that UFOs were back-engineered from strange combination of certain new elements, including element 115 and other unknowns, and smelted together into a small block and had properties to be thought of into a UFO by psychic powers of the ETs. If the SSG shares proof that Earth is going to be attacked by a large evil ET armada, true or not, the public believes this, then the shift to cosmic fascism will occur very quickly. Disclosure could easily create secret iron military grip. The whole world was as a newly emerging cosmic fascist world government, and if this claim of pending invasion is made false, then one can assume that this new form of government, cosmic fascism, will be just as evil as the super fascism we currently have in America, only cloaked in helping to save the planet Earth and humans from destruction. For the last 100 years, the BT RKM COL has worked hard to merge with the largest organized crime groups, infiltrate and hijack major governments, especially in the West, to institute super fascism. It has done this to attain its globalist NWO agenda of a one world super fascist government run by them, and every turn that major in the road, some major interference and setbacks have occurred. Despite this, they have made significant progress in globalizing the world in the USA through the hijacking of the educational system, sophisticated mind control of the children and youth to transform them into good global citizens, the hijacking of which we're seeing right now, the hijacking of major mass media, the use of it to promote big lies, false narratives, and propaganda on behalf of the BT RKM COL, the consolidation of corporations into large, powerful international conglomerates that are easy to control at the top, promotion of situationally based relative morality and political correctness, destruction of marriage and normal male-female sex roles, the illegal constitution of free trade agreements, the massive exportation of heavy industry and manufacturing into the U.S., pursuit of continuing illegal unconstitutional foreign wars of aggression, and the induced erosion of U.S. national sovereignty. And yet, even with all these advances towards their final globalist goal of establishing a one-world super-fascist government, the Internet, which is the new Gutenberg press, has elicited a strong and growing populism which has slowed their progress towards attaining its one-world super-fascist government. On the other hand, the deep black and beyond black secrets that the SSWP principles keep are extremely profound, and they are so powerful that if they were disclosed, they would enable these principles who run the SSWP to likely have enough political and military power to easily gain control of the government, push the BT RKM COL aside, and render them irrelevant and powerless. If these SSWP principles decide to misuse these secrets, it is likely and unless they have change of heart not expected, they will be then able to quickly institute a new form of government. Cosmic fascism. It may seem friendly at first, but it would then likely become oppressive to the masses, as any kind of fascism does when their advanced military might is rolled out. Unless things change, I expect that this transformation from super fascism to cosmic fascism will be covertly implemented and directed by the ETs working in joint projects. It is my view that they have established very sophisticated and powerful mind control over these SSWP principles, and it's so subtle they are unaware of its control. And BCC stands for Bush Crime Cabal. Thank you. BT RKM COL. This is the ruling cabal, empowered by the Rothschild private worldwide pernicious usury, debt-based Fiat central banking system, and comprised of these three elements. Babylonian Talmudics. I would have never known that. Rothschild Khazarian Mafia, and COL City of London. Well, that was super long. Anyway, I'm going to put it's gonna be very backwards, but I will put the explanation of these acronyms into the description box. And guys, that was so super long, and I'm sorry it was really repetitive, but I really wanted to read it from the horse's mouth. I didn't want to just do this like Sarah's, Cole's notes of serotonin's notes of, cosmic fascism article, because I often miss out on a lot of the important information. So thank you so much for listening. I hope this was meaningful to you, and I will catch you guys super soon. Whoops. All right. Bye for now.